I want to talk a little bit about the fourth issue here. And the fourth issue is the issue where Bet, and what is her name? Flamebird? Bet
Flamebird.
tracks down this villain who's got a hook on his hand.
The hook.
Yeah,
right.
The hook. And actually, did you pick up that the hook is actually the perp that Batwoman chases down in the first issue of Detective that we read?
So I thought that. Is that what it is?
I think it's supposed to be, because she calls him by that name, Rush, and he tells Batwoman, "You were supposed to protect me." And so I went back. It's that panel that we brought up last time where she says, "Whispered in my ear." It's that same perp.
Yeah, so for some reason I thought it was the last arc. It was the one that was.
Wouldn't that make sense though? It seems like that would make sense.
I think they mentioned something about him, killing women or taking their body parts and things like that. And that's why I was like, oh, maybe it's that guy, because the hook kind of always reciprocates whatever person they're attached to. So I thought that it was that guy, but regardless of
that would have made a lot more sense, I think, personally.
Right.
Although maybe then he would have been a little bit less sympathetic. Like, we have some moments here when he's separated from the hook where like you almost start to feel a little bit bad for him. And I don't think we would have got that if he was the killer from that arc.
Right. But then again, if you do that story becomes part of New 52 with Batman, it kind of becomes a little bit interesting. Like, anyway. But okay, you had something to say.
Well, this is a discussion I have frequently with my wife, who she doesn't read comic books, but she loves geeky media, and we read comic book movies and we watch sci-fi films and all that stuff. She finds it upsetting when sex is equated narratively with violence, whether or not that has anything to do with women. It could be two men having sex, but she's like, why do we need to connect that? Like, is that culturally really a problem that we have, that we see sex as this like inherently violent conflict to the point that it just makes sense to intercut it with violence? And so in the opening pages of this book, we have Bet fighting against this hook guy, and she's trying to prove something to herself and to Batwoman, and she's actually got the Batwoman coloring. Like, she finally graduates to having that ink-washed, fully reflective, photorealistic look on her, and she's losing this battle. And interspersed with it, the device in this issue is these beautiful painted panels that look like photographs of Kate Kane and Maggie Sawyer making love for the first time. And it's sickening. It's viscerally sickening. And so it does the job, because the Bet is brutally, brutally assaulted by this hook character. But it's also a little sickening to me that like it's the device. I don't know. It really rubbed me the wrong way. And it kind of took me out of the issue, and it took me out of this feeling that like Batwoman was this kind of like very cool feminist title, because I don't know if I believe that a really feminist book would do that parallelism between violence and sex.
Well, more than the parallelism, I didn't quite think of it more as a parallel between violence and sex, but I always kind of hate it when they do it. It's like, oh, look, first of all, Batwoman told Flamebird not to go out, right? She actually told her not to. But then this kid, she said no, and then decided to go against this person, and then got herself brutally assaulted. And on the juxtapose of that is showing that, oh, her guardian is not there, and her guardian is going on and living her own life. To me, that is a more problem. That to me, I always found to be very annoying. And I've seen it in like a couple of Batman things as well, that they show that, oh, like one of the Robins were getting their ass kicked, and then Batman was going around and doing something different. And then that's like, I don't like it from that point of view. I didn't necessarily equate, they could have shown that, oh, Maggie and Kate Kane is having a dinner and having fun. I would have had the same reaction to it.
I think that brings up a really good point, because I make notes every time I finish an issue. And my notes on this issue was like, this is showing that Batwoman is a failure. And she's not a failure because she loves or because she wanted to have a night of passion. It's because I don't fully believe that Kate Kane has internalized the need to be always on call the way that Bruce Wayne has. And I feel like she gets that. And I think it's an important beat for the character. So this, unlike my critique of the sex and violent thing, this is not a critique of the story. This is me saying I think the story is doing this thing. And it's showing us that Kate Kane's like, I don't know if she's ready for primetime. Like, I don't know if Batman's had a lot of sidekicks get killed, but he's very rarely just
Right.
totally off the grid when they're getting killed.
Right. And then thing is, to me, I find it to be a little annoying though, because the thing is, first of all, she didn't ask Flamebird to join her. Like, she wanted to be, and then she was a bit of an idiot, and then she sidelined her. Then she decided to go ahead and do it anyway. And I think this is like a Robin problem, because the Robins do the same dumb thing as well. And to me, it's very annoying. It's very annoying because maybe I'm too old now, and I really don't like teenagers, but it's like a teenager thing to do. It's like, oh, I'm going to define it, and then now it's going to be like the older character, in case Kate Kane, who's going to have to carry the burden. It's like,
and the Colonel too, as we see in the
and the Colonel too. Like, the thing is, like, I feel like she never asked for it. I mean, and I'm not just saying it just because, like, Kate Kane as a woman. It's for any of the superheroes. Like, a lot of the other superheroes, they're not prepared to have a sidekick. They don't ask for it, and their sidekick then goes out and do weird things, and then they are the ones who have to carry the burden, which is like, can we retire that story trope?
Yeah, I completely agree. And so as a result of this poor choice from Bet, but also maybe Batwoman not being as vigilant as she could be, we get basically Batwoman's whole life unravels within a series of panels here. Bet, winds up getting picked up by Chase, and Chase figures out, because she knows who Bet is, she figures out that Batwoman is definitely Kate Kane. Kate and Batwoman eventually figures out that the La Llorona is a woman who also lost her children, but somehow has become La Llorona. And I just feel like and then also at the last page of this issue, Director Bones from the DEO comes in to Gotham, and Chase is very apologetic, and he's like, no, you've just unmasked one of Batman's shadow soldiers. There's no way I'm missing what comes next. So in a way, this issue is kind of like the beginning of the end, and the end just extends for like another 21 issues, because everything Batwoman had, all of the control that she had when she was just her, is now unraveling, because she's in love, because she has this partner that's not really a partner, because of her emotional distance from her father, and her feelings about her sister, and then this case, everything starts coming apart. So this wraps up in issue 5 with a couple of revelations and resolutions, one of which is Bet on the brink of death. And there's this one interesting scene of her in the Gotham intensive care unit, where my reaction is just like, I would read a whole book about this. Like, in the same way the Gotham City Police Department is just like all the inane stuff they have to do with, I'm like, I would read like ER or Grey's Anatomy set in Gotham.
Oh totally. My God.
Gotham's Anatomy.
I wish I had it written down, because that's exactly the same thought I had. I'm like, oh my God, where is the Gotham? Like, you have Gotham Central by Ed Brubaker, which is about the Gotham City Police. So I'm like, oh, we should need one. We need all about Gotham. Gotham firefighters, Gotham, Salvation Army, like everything, all things Gotham. How is that city still standing? Gotham Library. I don't I'll read, there's like Gotham Academy, so why can't we have Gotham Anatomy? Ooh.
Oh, that was good. That was really slick. I love Gotham Academy. It's one of my favorites for sure. So
it is.
So as a result of this, Batwoman does track down La Llorona and manages to disintegrate her briefly, but she doesn't find any of these children who have been abducted, very few of whom have turned up as bodies. And it sets up this tension with she got the bad guy, but she didn't really solve anything. And then she's also confronted by Chase and Bones, who are like, we're bringing you in at this point. You've got to work with us, or we're going to expose you, and we're going to basically arrest your father, the Colonel, for being part of a terrorist incident, which was the battle with Alice in that last run.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's I kind of often like that it's like, oh, okay, not everything is kind of wrapped up in a bow after a trade. So yeah, to me it was like, okay, it doesn't show that, oh, she solved the problem and she brought the kids back. It wasn't that simple. Like